Yes. What is up, everybody? And welcome into the Haters Ball. Woo boy! Monday edition of the Haters Ball. Arguably the greatest Haters Ball of them all.
This is the most appropriate of all the Haters' balls.
We're presented as always by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, where if you bet against the Phoenix Suns, you probably made a lot of money. If you bet against them to lose by 32 points, you're the richest person on earth.
Yeah.
You're just Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos right now.
Also, send us that receipt.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the next Haters Ball.
You're definitely going to have to be on the next Haters Ball. Guys, I got the homies here. We had to come in studio today, call an audible just to be in person today so I could look at these guys in the eye, or in the sunglasses, as it were.
In the mirror.
Over here, I got D-Line Co. You guys know him as Eric.
Gentlemen, the sun is bright, is it not?
It's
the birds are singing. It's a little too bright to not go out wearing sunglasses, I would say.
Oh, it's way too bright to not wear shades. Might have to double up the sunglasses, to be honest. And then over here, he's got the pipe. He's got the hat. He's got the jacket. Half of that is actually just his regular outfit.
That's the best part.
We won't tell you which half is
I'm not going
rich.
to tell you which half is Brendan Vogt.
Listen, fellas, I slept on it, and I think let's have that Devin Booker MVP conversation.
You know
Let's
what?
go.
Let's have that
I changed my mind.
conversation.
Let's
My
have it.
God, let's have it.
I'm surprised you didn't wear that shirt.
Which I know, I was thinking about it, but honestly, my hatred for Chris Paul is so much stronger than my hatred for Devin Booker. It really is.
I understand.
Honestly, it's a real fun question here. It's just like, where is most of your hate directed? Is it at the city of Phoenix?
Sure.
Is it at Sons and Four guy?
Oh, my God.
Is it at Chris Paul? Is it Jay Crowder? Just a little bit, just Jay Crowder?
Is it at the confusion as to whether or not Brendan is dressed as Hunter S. Thompson or as a member of the Haters Ball? I don't know.
Hunter S., that's like a double compliment.
You know what's funny? I get that
I mean,
no matter what outfit I wear.
Well, I
So
mean,
that's-
you currently have a pipe and a smoking jacket.
Guys,
I think there's a little light shade.
so in case you don't know, the Phoenix Suns, who dominated the NBA really for 2 seasons, when you talk about regular season, dominated it.
Yeah.
Went to the finals last year, had
So
a tough
impressive.
loss. One of those losses in the finals where you're like, you know what, we're this close. All we got to do is come back meaner,
Stronger.
tougher, more focused, which they did. And you know what, have a little bit more swagger. While we're curb stomping everyone in the regular season, let's talk as much shit as we can. Why don't we force somebody into the MVP conversation that has absolutely no business being? Let's just go ahead and do that. Let's clown everybody along the way. Then, oh God,
Hang on.
here comes Dorian Finney-Smith. Guys, we got a juggernaut on our hands. We got Maxi Kleber. We got
an absolute buzzsaw.
I ran into an absolute buzzsaw, just an unstoppable force, if you will, the Dallas Mavericks, and get absolutely humiliated. And what was, I'm not kidding, one of the biggest ass whoopings I've ever seen. When you consider the circumstances, because I know some people have said, Game 4, Lakers-Mavs 2011. Guys, that was Game 4. It was a sweep. That was the last game. Everybody thought the Lakers were going to lose. They didn't realize they were going to lose by 50, but they thought they were going to lose. You can go through some of these games. I know the Heat lost to the Spurs in closeout fashion. That was Game 5. We talk about Game 7. We went all this way to get to this point. It's a close, evenly matched teams, 3-3. Now it just comes down to heart. It comes down to toughness. It comes down to who wants it more. Guys, the Phoenix Suns went out sad. The saddest I've ever seen. 27 points in the first half. DeAndre Ayton comes out of the game, won't go back in, refuses to go back in. I'm telling you guys, it was this. I can't think of a sadder way that could have ended.
Is the word sad even appropriate? I feel like the Phoenix Suns went out tragic.
Oh, so
That was
tragic.
Tragic to a degree
didn't
that I
hate
feel
it.
like other basketball teams and sporting leagues and anyone who watches sports will learn from this.
Oh my
This
God.
was-
What should we learn?
Oh, are we going to get into it right now? Are we going to talk about
we can
the
keep
implications
dunking
of what
on
it
it.
is that being cocky and skipping
ourselves up.
lines?
I want to start. So we got a couple
Okay.
things here. I want to take a couple things. Number one, Devin Booker.
Oh my God!
Now, you guys know me. I actually have nothing against Devin Booker, other than I do think he's kind of seems like he carries himself a little bit he's cocky, right? This in and of itself, not that bad. For an NBA player, professional athlete, you have to have a little cocky to you, this or that. But here's the thing about Devin Booker. I've said all this time, I'm like, him and Jamal Murray to me seem like the same player, very similar players. They do it differently. But are we sure Devin Booker is like a better player than what Jamal Murray? That was blasphemous. Even after the bubble, I don't know if people remember this. Jamal Murray had 2 50-point games in one series.
Run than Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that was the one. That's the exact run I'm talking about.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys remember Game 7
the last
against the
playoffs
Clippers
he played?
when he had 40 points and screamed in Doc Rivers' ear to go home. Like after just completely dismantling defenders like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard.
I'm gonna like this.
I'm just saying, like, here's my thing for Jamal Murray is he's always been underrated even after that bubble. I thought he was underrated. Then Devin Booker skips the line, just gets elevated, all of this, and everybody's like, oh, that's the next great superstar. Should be the MVP. We got former players coming on here talking about how much better he is than Jokic and look at his team and this and that. You're like, what are we talking about here?
What are we
Game
talking
7.
about?
Let's go. I'm going to go to the box score here for Devin Booker because, again, this came down to who wants it more.
Holy smokes.
Devin Booker.
How many
11 points.
Wow.
That's the good stat. That's the good stat.
He only played for what, like 3 minutes?
Yeah, he was only in for 37 minutes. He was 3 of 14. He was 0 of 4 from the 3-point line. He had 2 assists. He had 2 of them.
Which is actually in the pantheon of last night. Pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive. It's
That you
actually
could
his
get
most
2 other
impressive
sons
stat.
to make baskets. That actually is
11
pretty
points,
impressive.
2 assists on 3 of 14 shooting in this game. And, oh, by the way, getting absolutely clowned the entire time. It wasn't like, some shots where he goes, no, he was at the forefront of Luka's, revenge tour. And I just look at this and I go, Devin Booker is a guy that famously made the Raptors mascot sit down because he was being too rude in an empty arena, by the way. An empty arena.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, ref, can you please have him stop? That's not cool, bro. That's not cool, bro. He's also the guy that in a summer workout with other NBA players was complaining that they were double teaming him.
Yeah.
And before we just clowning him because it's a funny thing to clown for, look, man, I don't know how the rest of the world doesn't look at that and go, are we sure he's not a total wuss?
Wait, I mean, could that have been any more germane in the downfall? Because he even says in that video, we're working on our games. Joakim Noah says it's part of the game.
That's part of the
Devin Booker
game!
says, no, it isn't. Sure looked like a part of the game to me last night, fellas.
My God. It is hilarious. But honestly, the irony of, Chris Paul was clearly exhausted and put no fear in, and we're going to get to him. I'm going to spend a lot of time on him. But clearly the Mavs was like, hey, let's send a second body at Devin Booker and see what happens. And yeah, he had no answer for it. But this is my point. Jamal Murray becomes the best version of himself when his back's against the wall. And unfortunately for the Nuggets, they've played a lot of elimination games with Jamal Murray. Guess what he does every single time? Shows the F up. 40 points. 46 points, 38 points, 35 points.
Dude.
He shows up with some of his best performances. Devin Booker last night, his worst playoff performance of his career.
Here's what I know is that I was told that there were 4, maybe 5 candidates, rightful candidates, with a claim to the throne of MVP this year. I watched all of them, with the exception of one, the one who won the award, go out with an absolute whimper.
My
goodness.
such a whimper. Well, yeah, Giannis.
He went with, look at his box score. He played a terrible game.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't go out with a whimper.
Yes, he
Giannis
did.
did not go out with a whimper.
Yes,
but
he
your
did.
point remains about
Yes, he
Devin
did.
Booker.
He did not show up in the biggest game of the season. Jokic played the best game probably of the year in the most high leverage moment. Giannis Antetokounmpo, because the entire team is based on him, he absolutely ran out of gas. Oh, don't give me that look.
I'm with Vogt on this
He's
one, but
missing
whatever.
a
I'll let you go.
second.
You can
he's
have
the
entitled to
second
it.
best
You're
player.
entitled
You get to have.
Oh, I didn't know. So Giannis was missing his second best player. I didn't understand that was a.
That part's fair. That part's fair.
Was he also missing his third best player?
Nope, he had that guy.
Did he then also
the
record
context.
the most deeply inefficient missing layup after layup?
He did actually miss
He
a
was
couple
terrible.
of bunnies. He did
Like,
miss some bunnies.
I won't stand for
I
this.
can't stand for terrible. He wasn't terrible.
He was terrible.
But
In
you're right that
context.
Jokic lost on a more impressive performance, I guess, if we want to play that game.
That's the thing is that,
whatever.
no, listen. We're talking about the biggest leverage moments. What does it look like when the entire weight of the world is on you? Everyone on your team is looking at you. Everyone in the NBA is wanting to anoint you, and in Jokic's case, wanting to tear you apart.
Right.
Jokic came out with the most impressive performance that I have seen.
He dominated
And
Draymond so much he was jumping the wrong direction.
He was magnificent in that last game, and it put us into this place where, as we went into the long, dark night, on our way to Valhalla, we were able to look back with a smile, knowing that
So
Jokic
true.
gave that team absolutely everything he had and then some, and it was inappropriate to expect anything more. And every other MVP candidate left so much to be desired.
Devin Booker more than any of them, though. This is the thing is this is what's so funny to me is the MVP conversation has devolved from like what used to be the top player on one of the top 2 seeds. So you had like 4 teams to pick from. You just pick the best player that you feel from there. And then we went away from that. We started using context and trying to do this. And this is the nature of Yoke's MVP is people looked at it and were like, if it's most valuable, Yoke's the most valuable. The only argument people had against that, well, there's 2. The straw man of you're only using advanced stats as if we're not using like regular stats and eye test and team record and whatever. Throw that one out because that's not a good faith one. But the other one people would say is like, hey, winning matters, which I empathize with this. Like, yes. I do think there is something too. We need to factor in record. You have to weigh it. And for me, Yoke was close enough 2 freaking games from all these other, Giannis and Embiid, 2 games away from those guys that I'm like, all right, I contextualize it. Don't think it matters that much. But here's the thing. We really think the solution is going back to just giving it to the best player on the top team? Like, does anybody watch that game and be like, Devin Booker for real MVP candidate? Come on.
Can I answer that?
Like
no. Devin Booker, the thing about the slander that's happened since this game yesterday is that a lot of it has fallen on the shoulders of Chris Paul because it's all residual.
We're going to get to him. I might have a whole segment
hatred
on him.
of Chris Paul and the way he's conducted himself in this league and guaranteed he'll never win anything because he's such an affront.
Don't get too far ahead. This part it's too good. We got
the point being is that as bad as Chris Paul was, Devin Booker is in the prime of his career.
That's so true.
He was so deeply impotent in that game. He was losing the ball while trying to dribble up court. He was throwing it to other players on the other team without, like, just directly to them. He was missing shots from 6 inches away. That guy was so shook that
he was so shook.
He should consider taking a year off. He needs a gap year.
But here's the other part of it, Vogt, that I really want to get into. If we get to the basketball reasons for the series, and there's plenty of them, the Phoenix Suns look like a juggernaut when they were up. As Luka Doncic famously said, everybody's tough when they're up. Everybody acts tough when they're up. It was the most prophetic thing I've ever seen. Players have to know something about the Suns team that we don't from the outside, because Luka lost by 30 points in Game 5. He had every reason to be like, man, they're kicking our ass or this or that. Instead, he was like, yo, these bums.
Yeah, totally.
These freaking bums. Are you kidding me? We just have to win 2 games. We're definitely doing it. We're going to win the next 2 games by an average of 37 points. And he just knew it. And part of it is this thing, but here's the point I want to get at. Part of the basketball reason why they won is because as good as that team is, they have good players all over. Chris Paul, Devin Booker can't freaking guard a chair when you space him out properly. And Luka went at him. Jalen Brunson went at him. Spencer Dinwiddie got at him. And it brings me to what is my most important point.
Yeah. Nuggets
got swept by the Suns in definitive fashion last year. Swept by them. And everyone's like, what difference does one player make? Let alone, let's not forget, Will Barton piece of this. All the other little ancillary Dozier, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, whatever. Let's throw out that all of the guards were out and that Austin Rivers and Facu Campazzo were the starting backcourt. Let's just throw that out. And let's just say Jamal Murray's out there. Are you telling me Jamal Murray in a series where he has dominated the Suns in his career, his best games,
always.
4 of his 10 best games have come against Devin Booker. He freaking owns that guy, both of them Wildcats. You're telling me that he wouldn't have cooked him as bad as Jalen Brunson did? As bad as Spencer Dinwiddie did? Is Jamal Murray not better than Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie? He would have cooked those fools.
And there's 2 sort of parts of that, right? And first is, how does Chris Paul look in fourth quarters when he spent the game guarding Jamal Murray, trying to, as opposed to Facu? We know I love Facu.
Didn't even guard him.
Hardly an option A heading into that series. Then the other part is the defense thing. Sometimes you just need to answer their runs. It's not just like, yes, you want better defenders. Yes, you want to be able to buckle down and get a stop. But the defense looks worse when it's a 12-0 run because you're very predictable on the other end. But when you are answering these runs, and that's the number one thing I see for Jamal, by the way. Like, okay, they know how to guard Jokic, or he's not on the floor, or he's a little tired. Guess who doesn't let the 5-0 run turn into a 12-0 run? Yep. Jamal Murray. So there are so many cascading effects that his absence had on that series. It was a sweep. So not even us could get up here and say, well, they win that series.
Yes, I can. I absolutely can.
Hang on.
Who have they beat?
Hang on. When it happened.
Who have they beat?
But here's the thing. When it happened, we didn't do that. I'm saying when it happened. No, when it happened, we didn't do that. We got on this show. We said they got some stuff to figure out.
Right.
Okay, that's the truth. We didn't say, well, if they just had Jamal Murray, they would have won for sure.
It just would have been different. You just know that every single part of it would have been different.
The effects of this can't be erased. Can't be
The greatest
overlooked.
part about the evisceration that happened last night is that we are able to relitigate a series.
Oh, it's so true. This is how bad it was, though. Seriously, this is
so
how bad
true.
it was that you could now go back and look, oh, so they beat the Lakers with the hobbled LeBron and without Anthony Davis. Okay.
Yes.
They beat Denver without their second best player and missing all of their backcourt. Okay, cool. They beat the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard. Cool. Then they lost to the Bucks. All right. Then you get into this one and you're like, man, I don't know. They didn't look that good when they had to go against Jose Alvarado. Like, they kind of struggled, went 6 games, and they kind of looked bad against the 9th best team in the Western Conference from the regular season. Then you get into this one, and they lose to freaking Dorian Finney-Smith. I'm sorry. We do get to go back and say this.
Now we do.
This is the thing about basketball. We say this all the time. If you just told me after games 1 and 2, like, where's Dallas at? In fact, I went on with my buddy Kirk Henderson, Mavs Moneyball. I went on his show, and I was like, hey, look, man, Suns probably have this series. Let's talk about the things that Mavs can do, because that's what it felt like. This is the thing about a series, though. It always feels bad until you adjust. The Nuggets played the Warriors. Short-handed, down 2 guys. Games 1 and 2, you're like, they're not in the same class. Games 3, 4, and 5, they're even.
Yep.
They're even. This is how basketball is. Can you solve? Can you figure it out? And can you do the things? Denver last year couldn't do that, but it wasn't because the Phoenix Suns were so great that they couldn't be beaten.
I agree.
It's that nobody had the ability, because they weren't healthy, to test them. And now that we have, they didn't just lose. They lost in epic fashion. Epic fashion.
You know, this
You
is
guys want to rewatch?
You know, when is one game more than one game? Is when it's the highest leverage, the highest possible pressure cooker situation, and you show up and actually show up. You don't show up in any way, shape, or form. You really, like, at no point was that a basketball game. That was just like a clinic that was put on by the Mavericks. Like, it was so obvious early that the Suns had no business being in that game. They were at home, guys.
Yeah, I know.
They were at home.
And they
Dude.
were
Can I tell you-
overcome by the moment at home.
Can I tell you
in front of
another
their
thing?
crowd.
Their crowd has been so good. Shouts to Phoenix crowd. They've been so good. They've got the guys that paint their face and they talk so much trash or this or that. It's funny how that awesome, intimidating crowd just looks like dorks when you're down 30.
It's
like,
tough.
What are you supposed to do?
That's what I mean. Is
Yeah,
like you
like-
look at this one and you're like, man, that's such a good crowd. And then last night they kept panning to the crowd, and the crowd just looks like dorks. And you're like, wow.
when you're painted bright orange in your entire body, and then you're just sitting down,
Rolling.
and you're like,
you're just like sitting like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Listen, I feel really bad for all of the fans out in Phoenix who got an undue amount of self-assurance early and didn't really know how to do or what to do with it. Weren't able to act gracefully. Came at us all the time, mocking the idea.
oh,
that
of course
Jamal
they
Murray
earned. This is why I don't feel bad. They
That's what
earned
I'm
it.
saying.
You
Like,
earned your
yeah.
ass whooping.
Like, listen, like any other, we watch teams lose, we watch teams rise, fall. Brendan made an entire personality about clowning the Celtics. We're probably going to win the NBA championship.
You shut your dirty mouth.
All the same, like, you gotta. That's the thing about basketball, and when people come into basketball who don't really understand what the landscape looks like, this is not a season by season sport. This is a long form storyline that is played out season by season, incremental change by incremental change. The Phoenix Suns, like, artificially jumped from terrible to good with no in between, and the fan base had no ability to, like, sort of acclimate and appropriately build their level of confidence. They got the reverse bends, where they got like they just showed up and like, oh my god, we're incredible, and then they just started talking shit to everybody, us mainly. So you know what, like, chew on this, enjoy it.
Chew on it, enjoy it.
So when
stew
you
over
say,
it.
what are the sunglasses all about? That's what the sunglasses are all about.
Yeah, man. Listen,
We're in a mood today.
We're in a mood. Listen, these guys have some like remnants of professionalism left, which is
Yeah,
hilarious.
as I'm wearing a King's
Yeah, I know.
robe
Like it's
and
gone. Like
I have the point guard shirt.
yes,
on,
yes.
yeah.
Me, on the other hand, like I am unencumbered by trying to impress anybody in this industry, because if it all falls apart for me, I'm still just a designer at the end of the day. And so
That's true.
I really just say whatever I want. But
That's a nice security blanket.
it is a nice security blanket. But it's just so beautiful to see people get their comeuppance. Is it not? It's just so fantastic when you put so much time and effort into just watching this sport, taking the lumps, taking the beatdowns, waiting till the time is yours so that you can finally pounce and let everybody know what it is they need to know. The Phoenix Suns did not do that. Now they are being punished.
And this is the thing about talking shit, being cocky, carrying yourself that way as an athlete at the top of your field. This is why it's so cool when it works.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's a risk.
Right.
And what
It's an
happens
enormous
when it
risk.
doesn't work out?
It's the ultimate
Haters
risk,
ball
man.
happens.
The haters
And that's
ball
just how it
happens.
goes. I don't make the rules.
No.
I just wear the hats.
Nope.
And I'm ready to do
I'm
it.
telling you, the line between cool and uncool is so razor thin. It really
It's
is
so
success
razor
because, like, you watch like pro athletes do stuff sometimes, and you're like, man, that's so cool. Look
Yeah.
at LeBron,
And then they lose.
doing this. And when they lose, you're like, oh,
Wow.
and to take us into break, Kale, can you show us the Phoenix Suns getting ready for the game? They had some dogs on that team, man. They got some dogs on that team.
Oh, my
you know
God.
this? They
Get
got
that
some
dog
dogs.
in,
Can we get some dogs going? That's not the right one. Nope, you got it.
Yeah,
There it
that
is.
one.
There it is. Let's get some dogs up in here. Then after that, we'll go to an ad break. Then we'll talk Chris Paul. Oh,
You need some dogs!
oh my God.
What is Booker doing?
I said you can't go run! Now the dogs!
What is he doing down there? What are we doing? We're about to go lose by 40.
Lock the thing! You need
That's it.
some dogs!
All right, take us to break. I love it. That's how you get ready to lose by 40 points in your biggest game of your career.
Man, this is a fun episode. This Coke's strong. This Coca-Cola is really strong.
Is this the old recipe that actually has cocaine in it?
That's right. Ivaca TV, pronounced Ivaca, just so you guys know. I'm not supposed to read that part. They're awesome. If you haven't been able to watch Nuggets, Avalanche, and Rapids games, you can now thanks to Ivaca TV, our good friends. You can watch all the Colorado teams you love because they have local networks like Altitude Sports and AT&T Sportsnet and other national channels, and they are now providing service in Denver and Colorado Springs. You heard that right. Altitude Sports, that mythical channel where all your favorite teams play. It's a myth no more. Reach through the cabinet into Narnia with Ivaca TV.
Mr. Tumnus.
Wow, look at that. Mr.
I can't believe I landed that. I feel loose. Go to
What is the
Ivaca.tv
lion's name? I know a
/DNVR.
kid. There's
Ivaca.tv
no, Aslan.
/DNVR.
Yeah, I know a kid named Aslan.
And use the promo code DNVR.
That's what it's supposed to mean?
To get
Is that like
$10 off your
Oh, you're
first
like, yeah, it's the metaphor,
3 months.
yeah.
That's only $50 per month for the first 3 months plus the
Allegory.
receiver. No contract, no hidden fees, but yes Nuggets, yes Avs, yes
thought-
Pids. Say yes to Ivaca
Yes, yes,
TV.
yes, 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 yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
We just
Get some dogs.
some dogs for Ivanka.
That was weird.
Watch.
Oh no, I lost it. And wanna, don't you wanna fall asleep fast? Well, you can with Wanna Optimal's fastest sleep products. Need to catch up on some shut-eye after getting your ass kicked at home? No matter when you take them, this well-rounded recipe will leave you feeling refreshed and refreshed in the morning. Unless you're Chris Paul, then you're probably still depressed. Over-the-counter pharmaceuticals knock you out with powerful drugs that leave you in a fog, but not Wanna. It don't do that. So where do you find Wanna? Well, you find it at Lightshade. Where can you find Lightshade? At 11 convenient Denver Metro and Aurora locations, including the Barnum location, which is now open, one block off 6th Ave and Federal Boulevard.
Freaking
That's
go.
the biggest Lightshade store. They got all the stuff in there, but no matter which store you visit, podcast listeners can get 25% off non-sale items with code DNVR.
Code dog in him.
Use code. They got them dogs.
You go into Lightshade. You just start crawling on the floor and barking as loud as you can.
Discount.
They give you.
Do you guys
25.
remember that video? I mean, I love King Yoke. Do you guys remember the video where Yoke's giving the speech? He's like, "Okay, guys, let's go out, let's play hard," or whatever, and just like, "You're getting good at this, man." It's like tugging,
Everyone like
tugging
pats him on the back. Like, oh, this is great. This is amazing. What if next season Jokic comes back and does like a horse thing? He
Humping
leads
the-
us-
he's
like,
galloping on all fours.
leads us all into battle. Follow me, my liege.
Oh my god! I can't believe the Suns. Just how much it's like changed the face. You know, now we're seeing the other side of the face. Like, oh, good.
That's just it. Is that the emperor
What
is no longer
dorks.
wearing any clothing? You're
He's
wearing
naked.
his clothes.
No clothes.
Yeah, Adam has now taken his clothing,
Mm.
and when you see what is actually behind the curtain, you're like, wait a minute. Like what do you mean? Like,
So now we're doing-
How are you guys? How are you guys this cocky? This long? I mean, and frankly, as Adam pointed out, this team has won 3 out of every 4 games for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
By all rights, they should have the ability to talk their shit, and they went out so sad.
So sad.
It completely made everything they've done null and void for the last 2 years. Now everything is on the table. Everything is clownable. Everything is relitigatable. We're back in court is back. Back
So
in
when we
session. Let's
talked to
go.
our homies for the last couple years over at PHNX, they would always talk about Chris Paul Like, they love Devin Booker. It's their guy. He's a homegrown guy. DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, these are homegrown guys. Chris Paul was always the one they were a little uneasy about. And we'd always be like, man, I don't know, man. Like, you guys, come on, man. He's incredible.
Chris
He's the
Paul,
reason you guys
point
have been so
guard.
great. He's a point.
We said that.
I mean, he's the
We
point
did.
guard. I mean, look at him here. You see last night, you kind of get why. You kind of get why. Here's the thing about Chris Paul. His reputation in this league is that he is supremely talented, one of the most talented point guards we've ever seen, one of the most competitive people we've ever seen, great leadership. But for some reason, inexplicably, it just always leads to collapses. We don't know why. You get the Clippers, man. They had that great team, just never went anywhere. You go to Houston, like the most famous 0 for 27 from the three-point line you've ever seen when you were up. You go here. To me, this game was like a nail in the coffin for Chris Paul. He has to win a title now, but even that, like,
this game was a nail in the forehead for Chris Paul.
It was a nail in the forehead. But what I'm
he's
saying
done,
is,
dude.
I'm not trying to hate on Chris Paul because I think this legacy discussions can get overdone a little bit. But that game is going to be impossible. That's a stain that's impossible to wash out. To be like, he was absolutely atrocious in the games they lost in the series, culminating in a game 7 where you were like, at the end, to your point, they were worried about Devin Booker. They at least were guarding him and sending doubles. To Chris Paul, they were like, this guy's not going to be.
I actually heard Chris Paul started to kick a fan out the game. Then he remembered he was at home. Changed his mind.
And he was like, get them out of here. Oh, that's my family.
Oh, yeah.
But can I tell you guys something? We can't speak for the basketball god, so I want you to.
I feel like we can at least we can't.
I
speak
love-
exactly.
What's the
for them.
worst that could happen?
It's the worst thing.
No. The worst that can happen is when you show pride before the basketball gods.
Yeah. Let me just say this though.
That's true. They don't mind.
Let me just say this, man. Chris Paul cheats the game.
Yes, he does.
Chris Paul cheats the game.
Yes, he
Everybody
does.
knows it. The freaking smart play where you rip through facing the wrong direction for a field goal attempt that you were never going to attempt, like all the head bobbing flops, all the little bullshits that he does that everyone's like, he's so smart. To me, I just look at this and I think back to the Yoke quote, the basketball gods are always watching.
Yes, they are.
Just be honest. Be honest. Be true to yourself. Chris Paul's the least true great player.
Dude.
The least true. And for me, I just look at this and I'm like, man, is there a reason that his teams always choke like this?
I'm telling you, Chris Paul is the most talented grifter this
He's
league
the
has
most
ever
talented
seen.
grifter.
He is like Chris Paul is. The worst part about it is that he is so unbelievably talented,
Unreal.
and so unbelievably smart and cunning. Unfortunately, he has learned and has moved over to the dark side, so he's unable to see the light anymore. So all he does is just revel in the mud. He takes pride in.
Love when you start talking about mud and muck. That's when you're at
That's when he's in his bag.
He's just been he's just steeped in it. Like he just approaches every game that like if he gets some cheap foul that like was undue, that's a victory, right? Like this idea like you want to have this parade to the foul line. Somehow that should be applauded because of how clever
It's
it
like
is.
when the pandemic first hit and the Lakers like applied for the small business loan or whatever. Do you guys remember
Yes.
this? And it's like there's one thought that's like, hey man, the
you-
government's money.
you gotta
Why
go for
wouldn't
what
you?
you
You
get.
go for what you get. There's another one that's like, you're just a piece of shit.
Yeah, you're a piece of garbage.
It's a razor's edge.
so, like, you can't
Chris
keep-
Paul is on that razor's
Chris
edge.
Paul can't pull the same garbage game after game after game against the same opponent because they figure out his
yes.
nonsense.
I like that take. I think it's a good one. There's also like the officials call it differently, but can I tell you another one?
Please.
I think there's just also something too when your best player is like hell or high water, I get it done, versus like my best player.
We're gonna find out a sneaky way.
Yeah,
to make
like I hope. Oh man, Chris, we really need you to step up and rip through here.
He's like, guys, things are looking bad for us, but I drew up this one weird play.
even in the brawl he was involved in, he took a secret passageway.
Oh, it's so true. He took the secret passageway.
He's like,
Not going through the front door.
Not going to the front.
Let's see
Like,
if there's
sneak
a
in.
shorter, sneakier way.
this is
to
the most
finish line.
important possession of our lives. Now, DeAndre Ayton, I want you on the ground barking like a dog, so they look the wrong direction. Then I go left. Devin goes right.
I think, okay, so just to let you guys know how hard I was hating today, I watched First Take. I haven't done that in, I think, 12 years. They had Patrick Beverley on. Now, hardly the least biased source when talking Chris Paul.
No.
Why did
Today's
they
not a
have
day
him
for-
on?
Today is no day for non-biased.
No, today is a
opinions.
day. ESPN said, we're going to slander Chris Paul today, and we're going to bring in the right guy to do it. But
Slipping Jimmy.
he did say something interesting. Look, again, this is Beverly. What's embellished, what's real, you figure that out for yourself. But he was
It's
saying
100% embellished. What are we talking
no,
about?
But there's this one thing I'm curious about. He said that like no one really fears Chris Paul. And the young guys don't fear Chris Paul, and they all know about the cheat the game stuff that you were saying.
Of course.
And that's the part, like I know he's Beverly, but what shred of truth is there to people in locker rooms talking about what you're talking about? Someone commented in here, remember when they played Denver? They're up big, they're up in the third quarter. They're about to clinch the 1 seed, and he stopped short on a fast break to try to trip Jeff Green for an off-ball bonus, non-bonus foul. Risking the guy's career, and Jeff Green charged the locker room that night. And so I do wonder how many guys actually feel that way.
All of them!
Because
as evidenced by the party that was happening online.
Everyone hates
Anthony Edwards was on freaking
Chris.
I was sitting there thinking, like, why does Anthony Edwards hate Chris Paul? Like, he barely knows him. And there's that. Because literally every single person views the Suns the exact same way we do and views Chris Paul the exact same way. I'm telling you. Yeah. The LeBron Chris Paul generation can't get out this league quick enough. And I love that all of their peers are like, retire and get out the way. They talk about him like millennials talk about boomers or something. Like, okay, boomer, get out of here. That's how they talk about Chris Paul.
That's the one thing that I have taken from this absolute just reign of holy terror that NBA Twitter has put upon the Suns and Chris Paul is that it's not just the Nuggets. This is not a Suns and 4 thing.
Right.
This is not like, oh man, we have this rivalry and it's just like it makes you mad because they got over on us. Everyone universally cannot stand the way that this team has gone about its business over the last 2 years. Everybody in the league cannot stand the way that Chris Paul represents the NBA and goes about. It was put in the chat here that Chris Paul is slipping Jimmy from
that was so good.
That's a great one.
It's just like why go about it this way? Like, the other funny thing is that Pat Beverly is Chris Paul with just higher effort. Like, he plays the game like just as slimy and weird.
Oh, of course. Hey, Pat, you're so right about it. So
tries to injure guys.
Yeah, you know what? Pat Beverly is like equally loathable, but like I love that it was
he
just
knows what he is.
But this was just like they just threw two like wounded gladiators into a pit. They're like, just finish each other off. Like, go for it.
Yeah. Pat Bev definitely knows that he's just a rat. That's his existence.
How deep in? We have given no credit to Dallas. Not a
we'll get there. We haven't
even mentioned that there was a second game
because like our people don't care as much. They don't care as much about that.
It's just it's fun. That's the beauty of this show is that we are not even remotely trying to be objective.
Well, honestly, these takes are all takes I have. This is not about a non-objective. I'm just saying.
I'm right though. Like, we're wearing this hat. You're wearing a
Did you notice we're literally wearing costumes?
Like, look at us.
We're not like, we're gonna recap the NBA final.
I will say this though. Here's the thing. I don't know if the Suns are done. We're gonna see what happens. Let me tell you one little anecdote. DeAndre Ayton only played 17 minutes. I don't know if you guys heard. He's going to be a restricted free agent this summer. He very high profile, wanted to max this offseason. Sarver said, nah, we're not doing that. Mikal Bridges' number goes up. Everybody, that team just went to expand. They went from the like wide open window to all of a sudden you look at it now and it's like, are they going to bring back Ayton?
Right. By the way, does Sarver know ball? Is it controversial to say his stock is up right now?
Well, maybe not. Because here's one thing I'll say.
The answer is yes, because it's Sarver.
But Ayton, I heard, and this is just a rumor, I heard that he got into it with Monty Williams on the bench. I know they were going back and forth. That's a fact. There was a report I saw somewhere that Monty Williams tried to put him back in the game, and he said no. Meaning he refused to go back in the game. Afterwards, Monty Williams was asked about it and very matter of fact said, it's internal. Not going to share it. Not going to talk about it. He just said it's internal. Not going to explain why Ayton didn't play more minutes.
Worse than that.
And it sounded worse than what I'm giving it. So here's the thing, guys. Are the Suns done?
Bro, there's a chance the Suns are done. There is a chance that the Chariot just turned right back into a pumpkin last night.
My God.
Their rise to prominence was in no small part due to the addition of Chris Paul. Like, and is Chris Paul done? Like,
well, here's the thing.
I know he's like in the press conference. He's like, I'm not going to retire tomorrow, but is he going to retire tomorrow?
Well, can I tell you, it really reminds me of LeBron in a couple ways. LeBron, in the bubble, when they won a title, got 5 months off in the very middle of that to rejuvenate, and then got to play in the most like zero travel, all you do is play basketball, then relax environment, and they went to a title every year. The year before that, he broke down halfway through the year. The 2 years after that, the team has completely petered out and flamed out. So you look at that and you say, I'm not going to count LeBron out and say he's out, but there is a difference between carrying a team for 82 games and then going 4 rounds in the playoffs where even round one's going to be competitive. You go to last year, Chris Paul wasn't challenged. They played 5 games all the way through to the finals. This year, Jose Alvarado, say what you want about him. That guy made him freaking run miles on the court, worked him. Then you get into this one, and Chris Paul just kind of hit a wall and started getting worse each game. And this is my point. And then, so I'm with you. Like, you think about the Chris Paul part. He's 37. Now he's going to be 38. Like, you just keep getting older and older. That's how old I am. I know how that feels. 38. And on top of that,
trust you to do anything.
Me neither. And then this is my point. What are the chances that they're going to go 5-5-5 through the Western Conference?
0-0-0.
There's 0% chance of that now. So now Chris Paul's going to have to play 6+ game series after. I just don't think he can do it.
I'm telling you, this offseason, all of the Phoenix Suns are going to talk themselves into getting Eric Bledsoe.
I think
The replacement.
what's Trevor Ariza doing? I do think there's a dynamic here too where they could run this back. Let's say even Ayton comes back on good terms, just like do the whole thought experiment. They have everything they need, right, to come back and win 60+ games again. But they have to prove to themselves that all that bravado, all that confidence, all that
you
joy,
don't get to have any of it next
that was
year.
real.
Yeah.
That came from a place that was
right.
real.
Smokes.
That you didn't talk yourself into it.
Right.
That you fell back on it because you know when you put your head on the pillow that you were better than the other team. Do the Phoenix Suns know they're better than anyone? Right
Next year, JaVale McGee goes, "We got any dogs here?" And they all go, "We're not sure."
Yeah,
we don't know.
like, clear.
We're not going to know until the playoffs. But
that matters. They could win 65 games again. They could get back to the second round. You better.
You're 100% right about
this.
This
Comes up in their heads.
There's no amount of wins they could get next year if they
need
brought
to
the team
win
back.
a title. They would need to win a title.
Man, what a delicious little sliding doors game for the Phoenix Suns.
Sliding doors are the best.
Had they won this game and gone on to the next round, we would just be talking about like, wow,
Suns
okay,
Warriors, yeah.
this is their, this is the path we all foresaw coming. The Phoenix Suns, they couldn't quite make it over last year. They've obviously learned from the lessons they got in the finals. They've developed grit. They figured out how to
because last year I think
together
that's true.
with their back is against the wall. They have figured out a lot of difficult lessons by going through difficult times together. Now they can look to the man to their right, to their left, in the foxhole, and say confidently, we can do this because we know who they are. But that man, God damn it, did those doors close? And no, we don't know who this team is. This team could absolutely, completely implode.
I'm telling you.
Oh, my God.
I'm telling you that it's always that window before all the bills come due. And next year, the first round of bills comes due for them, on top of the fact that Ayton, not exactly going out on a note that gives you confidence that he's like, yes, I'm excited to be back here next year. I just think they look different. I'm not going to call the Suns done, but I will tell you, if you asked me this 2 weeks ago, like who is Denver competing with next year for the Western Conference Finals, I would have listed out a bunch of teams that included the Suns in that top tier of teams. I just don't know if I do that now. There's not a lot of precedent for a team that loses as badly as they did to a team like the Mavs, who they weren't even like on their radar all year. There's not a lot of precedent for going out that sad and then coming back and being even better.
Exactly.
So
to go backwards,
dude. How do you confidently stride forward with no soul? Their soul was taken from them.
If nothing changes, you come back, you see the exact same faces in the locker room. Sure, you're all determined. Sure, you're all hungry. But in the deepest parts of your soul, do you have enough to believe things will be different this time?
They have no soul.
Here's how fickle these things are. I go from the Suns, definitely a top tier team Denver's going to have to compete with. The Mavs, we'll see. I don't know if they are. To all of a sudden, I'm like, the Suns, we'll see what they got. Mavs, definitely a team they're going to have to contend with. And we'll do that on the other side because Luka Doncic, I mean, he leveled up. He leveled up to me. Like, I have to give him – even earlier in the series, we were talking about Luka too ball dominant, this or that. Luka surpassed my very lofty expectations of him, and he is that guy.
The Mavs
I feel
are
confident
win a title,
saying it.
and I'm going to be like, I think Denver would struggle with them, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Maybe not. We'll talk about them as well as just what to make of this new landscape in the NBA that has emerged right before our eyes.
Holy smokes.
One thing that's really cool about Colorado that I didn't know before I moved here, Infinity Park, Glendale, Colorado, that's Rugbyville, USA.
Let's go.
I had a lot of friends that played rugby in college. I liked to go. I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. Didn't know what I was watching, but I'm getting better at it thanks to Colton Strickler of the DNVR Rugby podcast, and he's covering the American Raptors who dare their thing over in Glendale in Rugbyville. And if you haven't heard, this rugby club is composed of crossover athletes that come from different backgrounds in different sports. They've all excelled in other athletic fields.
Maybe you think Chris Paul could play rugby now?
What? No, I said they all excelled in their other fields.
Oh, I just think like maybe basketball isn't his thing anymore. Maybe he could look to rugby.
That's true. Look, a lot of other former athletes are playing rugby now, and they're playing it for the American Raptors, who went 5-5 for their first season. Not bad for an experiment, a little project here that I think should be pretty cool, and it's getting more and more fun to check out. So subscribe to that podcast and check out a game this upcoming season. They're free, so go over to AmericanRaptors.com, grab your free ticket to the upcoming season.
I'm told in the chat that I look like I stormed the Capitol.
Yeah, I like that.
Are these your sunglasses?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, they're mine. They're mine.
Are you
yours.
kidding? Are those
Yeah,
mine?
nice choice, Adam.
Yeah.
Come on.
What I liked about them is they were $3.
Yeah, great. How come you got the aviators and I got the
That was not a coincidence. You definitely look like you stormed the Capitol. You're right. This isn't a hater's ball at all. What is this? Wow.
We're getting hated on.
Wow.
This turned fast.
Eric's really gonna get us canceled. Not for something he says, just
No.
the way he looks.
way he
just my
looks.
general presence.
Just your general presence. Guys, while one team was choking, another team was ascending in a way that I have to give
was
him credit.
choking them.
Absolutely choking them. Jalen Brunson was incredible. We talked about him earlier. Spencer Dinwiddie had one of the best games of his career when you factor in the stakes and this or that. But I'm sorry, I have to talk about Luka Doncic because there are very, 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 very few players that I think have the confidence to talk shit freshly after losing by 30 in Game 5 and going up against elimination. And then even fewer players that can talk shit in that moment and walk back onto the court the following 2 games as if you knew you were going to win. Luka played Games 6 and 7 as if he knew what was about to happen. Zero doubt in his mind, picking on whoever it was that he wanted to pick on, and then smirking the whole way. When he came out in that game, I put it in the chat after 2 points. I was like, Luka's going for 60 tonight.
Yeah.
And he would have if the game would have been close.
Yeah.
He had 27 in the first half, but the shots he was making were shots that he just knew were going in, and then he would look at the crowd and just kind of do the little laugh thing at him. And this was when the score was 5-0. This wasn't like when it was over. He was doing this from the start. I got to give it to Luka. All-time competitor. Not just of this generation. Luka, for what I've seen from him in his career, but culminating in the series, all-time competitor.
Well, what we're talking about with Phoenix, too, and the wilting, I mean, these are the questions that have to be asked of your best player, and you have to watch your best player answer these questions resoundingly.
Yep.
And the first two games, Luka could not have been getting punked any harder.
Yeah.
They were taking turns saying, no, we want you, buddy.
Oh, and they
We
let him know,
want
too.
you."
They let him know.
And that series felt over to a lot of people in and outside of that series.
I called it over.
Through 2 games. And then Devin Booker's punking Luka. He won't even let him get a shot off out of play during dead balls and all that, right? And Luka's looking at him like, all right, man. And when he felt his back brush up against the wall. Do I wilt now or do I push back? He didn't just push back. I mean, it was like Brad Pitt and Troy walking up to the wall. He's
Dude,
like, you send whoever the F you want out here. Like, I'm embarrassing them in front of their family, and then I'm dragging the corpse around.
Oh, that's what he did. I'm telling you, the thing is, it's not just that he was ready for the fight.
That was
it's
dark.
that he's the pretty. Yeah, it really was. That was
good though. I feel like it was graphic.
It was really good, but wow, that was.
Sorry.
I'm a little nervous right now. But he just had no doubts. Like, you could tell when a player has a little bit of doubts, and sometimes it's impressive that they overcome those doubts. That's part of sports. It's like, hey, he had to dig deep. I almost feel like Luka didn't have to dig deep.
Here's the thing, man. Luka Doncic has the same makeup as far as backbone is concerned as Nikola Jokic. I want to continue to bring this back to Nikola Jokic because I see the same resolve in both of them. Luka Doncic is much more boisterous. He is Jokic with swag.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Jokic, when people come at him, he just seizes up, he gets stoic, and he just goes about his business and then waits for some terrible thing to happen so he can explode and get in somebody's face. But Luka just the whole time will just he just starts hitting shots and he just smiles at you.
Right.
And he starts talking, and the clip that everybody has seen now ad nauseum of Devin Booker running and grabbing the ball from Luka like a little kid, like your little brother would do, and he's like, "Come on, man!" And then
it morphs. You see the entire soul,
and then you watch him he's
then he gets mad.
He gets mad,
and he
you know
grins
it's
and he
happy.
skips
You know it's
back.
coming.
He's like, "Okay, Listen, that's the most unafraid player I think I've ever seen in the NBA.
That's what I'm saying, man.
He's just so
I've always
a lot
thought he
of
was
this comes
good.
from playing against grown men, your entire childhood as you're developing as a basketball player, and you just go up against grown men who have absolutely no sympathy for you because that's their livelihood.
Right.
And this guy is not. He just eats nails. He doesn't care. Like,
Right.
He doesn't care at
So
all.
true, dude.
Like that's the one thing. Like you wish that Jokic would adopt a little bit is that just because of the NBA and the nature of the NBA and the nature of NBA Twitter and the nature of NBA Twitter slander. You just want Jokic to get like.
I think you had
start
it
clowning fools.
Right the first time, though. I think he does it in his own way.
He
right?
does.
He doesn't have
He's
the.
stoic.
Well, hold on.
He doesn't send it back.
There's one difference though.
He
There's
doesn't
one
send it
difference
back.
because I agree with you.
You're
There's
right.
different personality traits that
Yes.
separate them, but there's one thing that I do think Yoke can borrow, and that is when you go up against the goddamn Minnesota Timberwolves. Just know whether you think it should be or shouldn't be that is a street cred game.
Yep.
That Karl Anthony Towns
All
is
right,
coming
all
to
right.
show it at you, and like
All right.
Lucas takes them all personal.
You're
Every
right.
single one. Yoke is almost too pragmatic in a way where he's like,
he's
this
just-
that.
yeah.
But I do think he could borrow a little bit of that from Luka.
Little
It's still
swag,
true to
just a
yourself,
little
but just a
swag.
little bit of a like. I need to let my teammates know that we're going up against the 76ers or the Timberwolves or whoever team we might face in the play, the Phoenix Suns. I just need to make sure my teammates know that these guys, like, come on, guys, they're not going to beat us. He just needs to have those, and he does a lot of them.
Kirk just stopped in. How did I not get invited to this? That's a good point. Our bad, Kirk.
It would have been too much hate.
Yeah,
Kirk
yeah.
would have got it. Kirk would have gotten us canceled. The haters ball for the Kirk would have been too much.
That'd be too much.
Again, it is, I think, 99% just personality differences.
Of
Because
course
I'm
it
with
is,
you.
yeah.
I think Yoke has that supreme confidence
He
that Luka
does.
does.
Right,
You know what
right.
it is?
His backbone's
Luka's
stiff as
Jokic
man.
if Jokic was discovered at 10 instead of 15
Yeah,
or
with
16.
a little
like-
Justin Bieber syndrome in him. Right?
Oh yeah, because Luka was
yeah.
playing in for Real Madrid at 14. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
Jokic had a life of like extreme humility.
Yeah.
Morphing into
Right.
supreme talent. And he never had that thing where he's like, looked in the mirror, he's like, you're the fucking man. He's like, I wish I was racing horses, but I guess we'll go play basketball to the highest level.
Can I
I've
say
ever
something
played.
though? Yoke's proclamation when Vic Lombardi asked him, "Do you think? Can you close your eyes? Do you see yourself?" And he says, "I don't need to. I know it."
I know it. Oh,
Like, to me, it was the most declarative I've ever seen him. And you're
Yes.
right that he didn't say it with the same swag that
Nothing,
maybe a
you
Luka
know.
would have had. Like, I don't need to close my eyes. Fucking know it. Like,
Yeah.
he
Luka
said it
would
in his
be
own
like-
Jokic goofy way, but it was still a thing to me where I'm like, he knew what he was doing.
yeah,
he was
Luka would
saying,
be
guys,
like, oh, against those pussy asses? Wait, no problem.
thing.
And Jokic is like,
against those pussy
and
ass
Jokic
Boston
is like,
Celtics?
oh, yeah,
What?
yeah.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
Jokic will be like, it shall be done.
Right.
And we're like, okay, well, that's cool.
Jokic absorbs your shots. Luka's like a monkey flinging shit at someone.
Love it.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's so cool.
Another one that and also, by the way, like, it's funny we think about Denver has gone up against a bunch of guards since getting Aaron Gordon, and we've kind of been this that. We all talked about Aaron Gordon. The Nuggets believe him to
Oh,
be
this is a
the
good take.
best Luka stopper, and I look at that and I go, Luka might be the guy they have to stop for the next 4 or 5 years. So the
Love
entire window of it might actually be that he had. And I know a lot of people in the chat are like, well, Jalen Brunson, how are they going to keep him this, that? Jalen Brunson is the version of that player that they have now. You could swap out Jalen Brunson for CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
You could swap him out for
I mean,
Damian Lillard. You could get there's an A version of
For sure. Devin Booker might be available.
it might be Devin Booker. Like, there is a second. It's just now the form for them is defenders, smart play, like guys that are willing to not touch
Yeah.
the ball very often, but that can play defense. And then you need one or two auxiliary
Spencer
scores, a
Dinwiddie.
la LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie's not like the greatest for the LeBron system. He's the greatest for the counter to the LeBron system. And that's what I think the Mavs have learned, is that they have the Lucas system is 95% of what happens. You just need the guy you can throw it to when they overload so heavy to stop you. And now Spencer Dinwiddie just gets to ISO some scrub on the other end of the court. They can get the A version of Spencer Dinwiddie, the A version of Brunson. Will it happen this offseason? I don't know, maybe not. But I know that at some point they will. And Denver, having the guy that at least they feel confident there, forms it. Let's go to the other side, though, because all year we've talked about, can your MVP, if you're an MVP candidate, what if you're out by the second round? What if you're out? Well, let's take a look around the other MVP candidates. As we mentioned, Devin Booker, down sad. Let's talk about Joel Embiid, out sad. It's funny, man. It's hard to think back to 24 hours ago when the 76ers were the most embarrassing team in the NBA because
I can do it. I can get there.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me try. Let me take the Wayback Machine.
Because
That was sick, too.
I don't know if you remember, but their closeout game kind of looked like this one on a
remember.
slight smaller scale, where all the guys looked like they didn't want to be there. They all looked like a bunch of wusses, and that their opponent was like mocking them in the late third because the game was over. So here's my point. Embiid, I think you have to be on a true contender. Out sad. Actually sadder than the Nuggets, really. They just went against a weaker team in the first round. Now you go to the Giannis. Giannis is out. Now, I'm not going to go as far as Eric here because I know Eric thinks Giannis played poorly last night. I think Giannis played less than his best, which is maybe enough. But nonetheless, here we are now going to the conference finals. None of the MVP candidates are standing.
He scored 25 points on 26 shots.
Yeah, that doesn't happen to Jokic very often.
That never happens to Jokic. I'm saying this is not a Giannis slander. This is let's look at who Nikola Jokic actually is. This is like, and we have to look at it in terms of who he's been compared to and, taken by national media members and saying like, he could never aspire to this player.
Yeah. You want to know the funniest one, though?
Like,
I forgot another one who wasn't an MVP candidate, but is the real Hoopers know best player in the league. And that's, of course, Kevin Durant. Also went out sad, freaking sad. Can I tell you guys a new thing? I have a new updated top 3 players in the NBA. I feel pretty good about it.
Let's hear them.
I'm in no particular order. I think it's Jokic.
It sounds like the right order already.
I think Giannis, and I think Luka. And I think there's a gap after this. And I know people are going to say it's spicy. All respect to Steph Curry, who's in a different... I don't believe in best player. This is why it's weird, because Steph Curry has the same impact. Just like when you talk about can he do all that stuff. Like,
good.
He's really freaking good. Kevin Durant's also really freaking good. Joel Embiid's also really freaking good. But I'm telling you, Luka just proven that, like, hey, the system, I get you 95% there. Jokic, same thing. I get you 95% there. Giannis has already proven to me.
Yeah,
I know he didn't do it to you this time. But I look at Kevin Durant, who everyone's like, he's a real hooper. And I go, I don't know. He blew a 3-1 lead. He has some pretty high-profile bad games. Then you get into a playoffs this year where he was, he's the best player. Let's stop kidding ourselves. Averaging 15 points per game.
Terrible.
Well, we just talked about the Luka thing and the best player needing to have that question asked of them, the teammates needing to see that happen. Guess who never had to answer that question? Kevin Durant. And in fact, the first time it was asked of him prior to this, he literally joined the team that just beat him.
Right.
Like, that's not trying to rehash that, but that is, as a matter of fact, what happened. And so, yeah, like, these things matter. Like, going through these, like, having to ask yourself, when it's not going my way, what do I have? And that's not... When you are the very best guy going up against the other very best guys and there's nowhere to hide and no excuses to make, like, that's it. These questions come out and they are answered.
Oh, my God. I keep smelling. I'm like, where do I smell?
Weed?
No, like campfire smoke. And then I look over and Vogt is holding a pipe. I forgot about that.
But can I just say one thing?
Please.
I know what you mean about Giannis in this year and in the MVP conversation, and I think in that context you're right.
Yes.
I just only just hesitant to lump him in with like Embiid and stuff. He just dropped a 50-piece in the finals though, to seal it. Like, I just think Giannis has shown he can do
the finals
it.
last year,
And
they got to the second round this year, and we have eliminated every good deed they've ever done.
It is funny how we talk about
I
this dumb
understand your
shit
point.
though, because it's like if you look at the Bucks, what is it? Lost in the second round, won the title, lost in the second round. Like, there's actually, we always think about the LeBron model. Like, he's just ruined all of us. Where like, if you're the best player, you're in the finals or conference finals every year, and it's like actually not very common for that to happen. The Warriors have kind of ruined us too. They're back in the conference finals.
I want to exalt my beautiful king Jokic, and just remind everybody that when Giannis Antetokounmpo loses one running mate in Chris Middleton, one running mate, not two running mates, one running mate. And then he is complete. I mean by his own
really
standards,
he was
almost
still good in
went to
this series. Though he was also good. Let me say this. This is how I would put it. Luka just put up an all-timer against a great team that everybody thought was the favorite in a Game 7. Jokic, last time he was in a Game 7 like that, 40 points. Completely humiliated the Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who at the time, it's hard to remember back to this, the Clippers were the team. Everybody's like the Clippers. That's the one. Clippers-Lakers, one of those two teams. Jokic goes into a Game 7 pressure-filled there one. Masterpiece. Put up a masterpiece. And I look at it, I go, Giannis has proven to me too. All these other guys like Embiid, but look, man, even Luka had a running mate in that he had the team that was designed to have.
Well, but his running mate was just a guy that stepped up. Spencer Dinwiddie.
But here's my
Jalen
point.
Brunson
That team that
scored
Dallas
all of his
built
points once the game was over.
But you're still not doing you're not doing the basketball justice. That was a team that was designed with Luka in mind. You can say, are those guys great at this or that in a vacuum? No, but those guys were specifically good at the parts of the game that kept defenses honest against Luka, which is the same thing I'm saying for Giannis, and it's the same thing for Jokic when he had his guys. I don't think there's anybody else. Steph. And this isn't the only way to measure greatness, because I think there is if you're like Curry is a great player, but he needs the other great players to fully unlock him. I'm just saying there's no other three players than Luka, Giannis, and Jokic that I feel can carry that burden. Those three guys can do it. LeBron James probably, but I don't know.
I like this commenter who takes it a step further. And what did Embiid do in the playoffs? Let's not even talk about tier 3 players, please. Not worth our time.
The other thing, just quickly, I know that I'm not alone in this. That when you see your greatest enemies have less than positive things befall them. Oftentimes, I'll go out and I'll listen to the fan bases and the large.
Oh, I was a silent listener,
just the speakers
last night
that represent each one of these fan bases, the loudest. And I heard, with the exception of Giannis, I didn't go and research him, but I heard the 76ers faithful out on Embiid.
They were not.
Yes, I did.
76ers were out on Embiid. No way.
The rights to
no,
somebody.
they're not out on Embiid. They're not out on Embiid. They're out on Harden.
But they're
definitely out on Harden.
No, but they questioned it. It came up. It came up.
Boy.
I'm telling you.
Somebody has that.
And then
our
good friends, the Suns. I heard Chris Paul being referred
even
to
Booker,
as a bum ass.
even Booker, man.
I heard Booker being referred to as maybe
fraudulent.
A top 15 player.
Maybe a top 10, maybe top 15.
You will never hear this podcast waver even an inch on King Jokic.
Game 3 we came close. Man. Game 3 we came close. But we stayed strong.
Game 3 of the Utah series, you should mention. Yeah, back when he was 23. It's true.
It
was a while ago, and then he followed it up with the greatest comeback ever, and then also scored half the team's points in Game 7. I guess that does it here. I will say, one thing I will say is I was very proud of all of you, because I know we have our friends over at PHNX who we love. They did a great job. I actually thought their show yesterday was really, really good given the circumstance. I was very impressed with how they handled it. I thought it was a great show. But what I was going to say is I'm very, very proud, because our people, I honestly went over in part to monitor the chat, make sure none of our guys were being assholes, because I think it's the lamest thing you can do.
You mean Eric, right?
Yeah, as Eric. Okay. I was just keeping an eye on him.
I'm just kidding, Eric.
But what I'm saying is I'm very proud of all of you, because I'm sure some of you guys hopped into the chat last night just to revel in it. I didn't see anybody in the comment section talking that shit like it. That's their sacred space. We have our sacred space. You can go do battle out in the public, but I thought that was great. All right, everybody. This was fun. Woo! Light it up there. Oh, wait, we have a couple super chats we got to get to. What do we have? Brandon says, is this the type of loss that initiates a trade like Portland did with McCollum, the insanely fast rise and collapse of the Phoenix at PHNX Empire?
In that I'm dressed like this, let me just say, thank you, Brandon.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, look.
Let's go, Brandon.
I think it's a very, very difficult look.
Oh, I get it. Close.
It's come on, man.
2 minutes left in the show.
What are we doing, dude?
Unbelievable.
Seriously, what the hell is that? I can't even answer this guy's earnest super chat now. I can't even answer it.
Unbelievable.
You're the one that gave me the goddamn insurrection shades. It's your fault. You should give me the aviators.
Here's the thing: it's not just the loss. The Suns already had tough decisions. Like the Suns, even if they won the title, I don't think they were bringing back the same team. They had a lot of guys they had to make decisions on. Now you lose it, and you have to go into Sarver's office and be like, "Hey, Ayton, remember when you said you weren't going to pay him because he is not like a championship piece, and then he didn't come back in the game in the second half when they were getting their ass kicked. We need to pay him a max." I just don't know if you can do that. So yes, I think some changes will happen.
Ooh, you know that the Phoenix Suns do not have a draft pick this year.
Sarver also in the middle of like a huge scandal.
Listen,
he might actually get Sterling.
That's the thing is that I should say
Sterling himself.
I've heard little birdies say that the results of that investigation are probably going to come out in the next couple of days, and there was question as to whether or not that was on the minds of the Phoenix Suns.
Can I tell you what I think of that? I think that the Suns just got beat down so bad that we're asking that. This is when
the Broncos went to the Super Bowl and they got beat in such a
That you had to make
confusing
conspiracy
factions that we're like,
theories.
what is Peyton Manning part of the Illuminati?
Yeah,
What's
like hold on a second.
Like, are there mole people? What's happening right now?
There were
Like,
reports of alien invasions, and they're like, wait, what?
Michelle's family actually believes the 7-0 Germany-Brazil game is like a fix.
yeah,
It's like the fix is hit. They lost so bad that they went, this must be
it can't happen.
Someone's
How could this
cheating.
be?
Of
How
course.
could this be?
Someone's
I love
cheating.
the idea of that's actually what happened. Was Adam Silver's like, you guys are going to go down.
Yeah.
You're going to go down by 50, and you're going to lose because of this Sarver news.
Yeah,
And
Chris
Chris Paul's like, what do I have to
It's
do
like
with
Vince
that?
McMahon.
exactly.
They bring him in the office. Like, so here's the storyline. They're reading through. They're like, what do you mean after having the most historic season, we go down in the saddest possible way, and my entire career is eviscerated, shredded by NBA Twitter when I have no recourse? How is that the storyline?
Like, shut up, Chris Paul. Just
Get
get
in
out there
there.
and execute the script. All right, what else we
Still
got?
think his stock is up.
Carlos says Suns fans were sore winners last year and degraded Yoke during the MVP conversation.
so true.
These fools deserve what they got. Their glass house has broken. Dude, that's why I'm telling you. Phoenix fan, every fan base is the same, so I'm not going to pile on.
Yeah,
But
we would do the same.
We would
garbage.
do the
Yeah, we would do the
exact
same garbage.
The
same.
difference
But we
between-
did it.
The difference
We
between
didn't
us
get
and them
to.
is that our rise came gradually, so we got humbled along the way.
That's
they
true.
didn't get
That's a
humbled
good
along
point.
they were like rich kids that showed up and they were like, all right, where's my NBA trophy? And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, didn't you win like 7 games last year?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're good now. You're like, what do you mean you're good now? And then they just talk shit to us. We're like, we don't even know who you are. And now they lost and we're like, what was that? We're gonna
Yeah.
look back and we're gonna be like this weird blip of the Phoenix Suns dominance that will now evaporate. Like
I
so
hope,
much water
we
in the
talk
Phoenix
about the
desert.
Phoenix Suns as. Do you guys remember the Chris Paul era Suns? And we're like, what?
It's a
And we're like, hold on.
cautionary tale.
No. That we're more like, hold on. When was it? Let me think.
Was that in the?
Oh, I do remember that
You're
team.
like, was
That's
that-
right.
Was that
Holy
in the,
shit.
Yeah, was that in the
a-
aughts?
Yeah.
When was that?
We're gonna talk about like the Hawks of
So
the
Chris Paul's peak. I mean, like that year with the Thunder, they really overperformed. I think.
Yeah, I
when we
can't
revisit
wait.
this career,
We're gonna be like, do you guys know that Chris Paul played for the Suns?
yeah.
not a lot of the,
A lot
the
of people
young ones
remember
don't
that
know.
he played for the Clippers and the Rockets. But do you guys?
short stint in
It's
Phoenix.
Joe, it's Joe Montana with the
Yeah,
goddamn
the
Chiefs.
yes. Little known
Absolutely.
fact.
Doesn't matter. No one remembers. You know it.
THTR says Bob Cousy would never go out as bad as CP3.
Couldn't
did.
agree more.
I love it.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he did. We actually don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe he did.
I'm not-
He's still alive, right? Somebody said Bob Cousy's
don't
still
know.
alive, and everybody like he doesn't know about the
Dude,
Hey.
Bob Cousy has the most hilarious name. He is the Vorp of old like names where you just pick one hilarious sounding name to be like,
Bob
oh yeah,
Cousy.
back when Bob Cousy was lacing him
Did
up.
you guys see Stat Muse
That was a
tweeted
Cousy
today?
doozy out there.
Stat Muse tweeted, Steph Curry is the only member of the NBA 75 team to make the conference finals this season. I was like, well,
I know,
I think some of them are
most
dead.
Yeah,
I
come
don't know
on,
if
man.
that.
It's so dumb. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us at the
Oh
Haters
wait,
Ball.
well, no, give me 20 seconds.
Cook.
I just want to. Again, you guys remember in the early seasons, the only seasons that exist of Game of Thrones, and there's this warning of the White Walkers, and not everyone buys it, but there's a couple of people that are like, I'm trying to tell you, like, the worst thing is coming. Like, you need to listen to me.
Winter is coming.
Okay, look, they advanced past the second round, and I have seen toughest title path ever for the Boston Celtics in the making. Jason Tatum is the most complete
Oh,
player
no.
in the NBA,
Oh, no.
and Danny Ainge is one of the
Oh,
best GMs
no.
in the history of all of sports. I'm trying to tell you guys, you think you're safe on the West. The winter is fucking coming. Boston cannot win the title. Sports discourse will be ruined forever.
Just for you.
I'm trying to tell you guys, this is bad news.
You're gonna go
They
back
have
to the
be
East
stopped.
Coast for Thanksgiving or something. Everyone's gonna
Can
be
I
wearing
tell you
green.
something though?
We won't care.
Let me just tell you this: if you lean too far into that one, and then the Heat win, and you're gonna realize that the Heat also suck, and they're also deeply annoying. Who is the least
biggest
bad option now?
lesser of
Are we
two
Mavs fans?
Golden
So
State.
It's Mavs. I think it's actually
It's
Golden
war-
State.
I think
It's
it's
Golden
because they
State
beat us.
because it's Golden State because we expected of them.
Yeah.
And like they've already reached their heights. They already dance. They are like the worst is when there is a new up and comer that takes the
that's true.
the mantle, which is why we hate Phoenix so much right now. Because
Right.
they just showed up and they're like,
You're right. The Mavs will
"Hey."
just become the new Suns if we let them.
Yeah,
So you might as well just have the Warriors. who
Yeah,
are
just have the
already
Warriors.
there.
Just be like, get another one. Like, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
Let me. Which camera do I got, Kill? Which camera do I got? Which one? Let's.
They're all right
Let's
next to
go
each other, bro.
Miami.
Oh.
Let's go Miami.
Really?
Dude, this is good versus evil. Our collective sanity is at stake. You guys think I'm just trolling?
I am,
fighting
like,
for you
This
and
whole
me.
time I thought you were dressed up for the haters ball, but now I realize you're dressed like a retiree in Miami. Like you could be playing dominoes right now and no one would even notice.
All right, we'll
might go
continue
do
this
that.
conversation tomorrow. We
Let's
have no
go Heat.
shortage of hating the haters ball.
Oh,
we
we're
might,
not- dude,
we might not be back to the haters ball till next week.
Yeah, there's
man.
the on season,
Yeah.
the preseason. We're in the hate season.
We're in the hate
We haven't even
season,
started
baby.
looking towards next year. All we have is hate. All we have is us. And the only thing we have to do now is what I've learned from NBA Twitter, which is it's really not about the wins or losses. It's about how badly you can clown your opponent and for
true.
how long you're able to do it.
So
and
true.
right now, the Suns, we've got a good 8 months, year long of just,
Oh,
just
at least a
absolute,
year.
absolute impunity. We
Yeah.
can say whatever we want. It's going to be beautiful.
I need
can't
one
wait.
more loss.
All right, guys, hit that
really
like
need
button
one
on the
more
way out.
loss.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Let's go.